Dear students, welcome to this digital lecture series. The topic of today's discussion is nuclear physics, and in that we are going to see a particle detector. Today's topic is GM counter, which is also called Geiger-Müller counter. This particular figure gives you an overview of how a Geiger-Müller counter looks like. GM counter is also called Geiger tube, and it is a device which is used to detect and count the charged particles. It was developed by Geiger and Müller as a particle detector in the year 1928. This instrument is actually used for detecting and measuring the ionizing radiations like alpha particles, beta particles, and the gamma rays. A GM counter is so sensitive that it can record up to 10,000 counts per second, and it is widely used in the medical and the research fields. So let's look what is the principle on which a GM counter works. It works on the principle of ionization of the medium by a charged particle. When the energetic charged particle enters a GM tube or a GM counter, it collides with the argon gas atoms to cause ionization of the atom, and an electron and positive ion pair is produced. The electrons are immediately attracted towards the positive terminal of the voltage source. As a result, the flow of electron gives rise to electric current, which flows through the resistance to produce a voltage pulse. Very simple. The simple Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, comes into picture in this case. The voltage pulse is amplified by an amplifier, and then it is given to a counter which counts or records the number of particles. Let's see the construction of a GM counter. This particular figure gives a brief picture of the GM counter. In this case, on the left side we see a metal case which is cylindrical in shape. In between, exactly at the center, that is at the position of its axis, there is a fine tungsten wire. The metal case acts as a cathode and the tungsten wire acts as an anode. See, the picture will be more clear in this particular diagram of GM counter. See the outermost cylinder, it is a metal case, and exactly through the axis of that cylinder we are having a thin tungsten wire whose diameter is of range of 10 raised to the power minus 2 centimeter. The outer metal case acts as an cathode, while the central tungsten wire acts as an anode. The GM tube is filled with a mixture of 90% of argon gas and 10% of ethyl alcohol in the gaseous form. The arrangement also consists of a capacitor and a resistance, so that a voltage pulse can be obtained across the resistance. This voltage pulse is of very low magnitude, maybe millivolts or so. So there is an amplifier to amplify this voltage pulse, and the amplified voltage pulse is then fed to a counter unit which detects and counts the number of charged particles. Let's see the working of a GM counter. When a charged particle enters the GM counter, it collides with the argon gas atom to cause primary ionization, to produce an electron and positive argon ion pair. Let's briefly see what's the process of ionization. We know that whenever a charged particle which is energetic, means having high kinetic energy, collides with another atom, then it knocks off or takes out electron from that atom. So what is left? So, or what do we get in this process? We get electron, and since electron is coming out of that atom, we get a positive ion. This simple process is called ionization. So in primary ionization, we get an electron and positive ion of argon. The electrons are lightweight and they are quickly accelerated towards the anode. And on the way to the anode, they may collide with other argon atoms to produce more electron and positive ion pairs. This is the secondary ionization. See here, two types of ionizations are taking place. First, when the incident particle is colliding with the argon atom, and this is primary ionization. And in the second case, the electrons are moving with large velocity towards the anode. They collide with the argon atoms on the way. This also produces electron positive ion pair. This is secondary ionization. Hence, a large number of electrons gets accumulated around the anode. This avalanche means flood. This avalanche or flood of electrons around the anode due to secondary ionization is called the amplification in GM counter. Now the movement of electrons constitutes current. We all know this, that whenever electrons move or they are displaced from one position to another in a circuit, then it produces current. So movement of electrons produces current which flows through the resistance to produce a voltage pulse. And as I have mentioned earlier, the voltage pulse may be very weak. It may be of order of few microvolt or to few millivolt. So this voltage pulse is fed to an amplifier so that it can be amplified, and the amplified voltage pulse is then given to a counter which will then record a count. Thus the GM counter not only detects a incoming charged particle but also counts the number of charged particles. Let's see the simple GM counter characteristics. The figure shows a GM counter characteristics. It is nothing but a plot of number of particles counted per unit time on the y-axis to the applied voltage on the x-axis. Now in this particular figure we see that up to 1000 volts the count has not begun. Up to 1000 volts there is no count. Why there is no count? Because there is no ionization. Up to 1000 volts there is no discharge, and hence the count recorded is 0. The minimum voltage at which the counting is recorded is called the threshold voltage. It is denoted by Vt, or it is also called starting voltage in some textbooks, and it will be denoted by Vs. In this particular figure, the starting voltage or the threshold voltage is 1000 volts. So what does it mean? unless the GM counter is getting an input voltage of 1000 volts, it will not record any count. It will not display any count in the display unit. Now, when the voltage is further increased between 1000 volts to 1200 volts, the number of count increases linearly with the applied voltage. This particular portion of the graph where the count is directly proportional to the applied voltage, there is a linear relationship. It is called proportional region. Now about 1200 volts up to 1500 volts, the count rate shows least variation. It is almost constant, and this particular region where the count rate in the GM counter is nearly constant, it is called the plateau region. And plateau region forms the operating region of the GM counter. The GM counter operates within this voltage range. Now if you increase the voltage further above 1500 volts, then a continuous discharge will take place and the count rate suddenly increases due to discharge of the argon gas, and this is undesirable for a GM counter. The voltage at which there is a continuous discharge is called the breakdown voltage. In this particular figure, the breakdown voltage occurs at 1500 volt. In this continuous discharge region, the GM counter rate of counting, it goes on increasing, and there is every possibility that the counter may burn out. So whenever we are operating a GM counter, the first precaution that is taken is that the voltage applied, it never exceeds the breakdown voltage of the GM counter. Now there are some particular parameters for a GM counter. The first is dead time. It is denoted by TD as shown in the bracket. The time interval for which the GM counter stops counting and becomes inoperative is called the dead time, TD. It is approximately of order of 200 microseconds. Now why does a GM counter have a dead time? We have seen that when a charged particle enters a GM tube, it collides with the argon atom to produce ionization. And when ionization takes place, an electron and positive ion is produced. The electrons are quickly accelerated toward the positive anode, while the positive ions are heavy, they are bulky. These positive ions move slowly. So after some time, a large number of positive ions gets accumulated or gets collected in the region around the anode. So what happens due to this accumulation of positive ions around the anode? Now when further electron positive ion pair is produced and that electron begins to travel towards the anode, on the way it may be absorbed by the positive ion. So the electrons are now not able to reach the anode, and since electrons are not able to reach the anode, there is no current, and since there is no current, a voltage pulse may not be produced in the display, and in the display there will be no counting. So for a short duration, the GM counter has stopped counting and it has become inoperative or non-operative. So that particular time for which the GM counter has become inoperative, it had stopped counting, it is called dead time. It is approximately 200 microseconds. Now after some time, the counter returns to its original state and it will produce a voltage pulse and it will again start counting. The time interval after which a GM counter returns back to its original state, produces a voltage pulse and starts recording a count is called recovery time. Recovery time is also of order of 200 microseconds. Third parameter for the GM counter is response time. It is nothing but the sum of dead time and the recovery time of a GM counter. So if you look at their values, then it is 200 microsecond plus 200 microsecond. So approximately 400 microsecond is the response time of a GM counter. Now in GM counter, there is a very important concept of quenching. Why quenching and what is its necessity? Now when an energetic charge particle enters the GM counter, it produces electron positive ion pair by the process of ionization. The electron is quickly accelerated towards the anode because it is very lightweight, while the positive ion moves slowly towards the cathode as it is heavy. So they start collecting around the anode and this forms a positive ion sheath or a layer around the anode. If the positive ion sheath remains around the anode for a period more than the dead time, then the working of GM counter is affected. The electrons which are moving towards the anode, they may combine with the positive ion, and we know that whenever a positive particle and a negative particle combines with each other, there is annihilation, means destruction, and in that process a photon is given out. So when the electron combines with the positive ion around the anode, it produces a photon. This emitted photon, it may collide with the argon atom, and in that process it may knock out a electron from it. Also, the emitted photon may be incident on the walls of the GM tube and it may knock out an electron from the walls, metallic walls of the GM tube to produce a photoelectron. Remember what is photoelectric effect? That is emission of electron from the surface of a metal when light energy is incident on it. So in this particular case, the photons are incident on the metallic wall surface and it knocks out the electron. So these electrons are nothing but the photoelectrons. So after some time, a large number of photoelectrons are produced due to the secondary ionization avalanche effect caused due to the photons. Now the counter goes into a confusing states and it produces two voltage pulses. One pulse is produced due to the secondary ionization avalanche effect caused due to the photons, and another pulse is produced due to the secondary ionization effect caused due to the incoming particles. This is undesirable for the working of GM counter. Why it is undesirable? Because a particle which is entering the GM tube produces one pulse due to secondary ionization. At the same time, secondary ionization avalanche effect due to the photons, this also produces one pulse, which is a false pulse. It is not related to the incoming particle. So hence, for proper working of this GM counter, the secondary ionization avalanche effect caused due to the photons must be suppressed, and the process of suppression of the secondary ionization avalanche effect caused due to the photons is called quenching. Quenching can be achieved in two ways. One, external quenching, in which an electronic circuit are connected externally to the counter to suppress the unwanted voltage pulse which is produced due to the photoelectrons emitted by the photons. And second method of achieving the quenching is self-quenching or internal quenching. In this method, 10% ethyl alcohol is added to the GM counter. The alcohol molecules are heavy. They are organic molecules. They are heavy and bulky in nature. And whenever the photon falls on it, they will easily absorb the photon without breaking themselves. So in this particular case, the photons which are produced, they are absorbed by the organic ethyl alcohol molecules. That is the reason why a GM counter consists of 90% of argon gas and 10% of ethyl alcohol, maybe in a gaseous forms. So now let's see what are the important characteristics of GM counter. GM counter, as I have mentioned, is very sensitive in nature. It can record up to 10,000 counts per second. It produces a constant voltage pulse. It has a very long life. It can detect charged particles like alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma rays, and as well as the cosmic rays. Now, the number of charged particles that are entering into the GM counter, they may not be counted very accurately. Some false counts can also be present in the counting by the counter. So if we know the dead time of a counter, suppose we know that the dead time of the counter is T. That is the time for which the counter becomes inoperative. And the count recorded by the counter is N0. Then the true count of a counter is given by N is equal to N0 divided by 1 minus N0 into T. So this was all about the GM counter. Have a nice day.